What they don't tell you about ancient curses is that sometimes they're made by the media, not the pharaohs. November the 26th, 1922. Picture this. Howard Carter peers through a small hole in an ancient doorway deep in Egypt's Valley of Kings. His candle flickers as he holds it up to see inside. His financial backer, Lord Carnarvon, stands behind him, barely breathing. "Can you see anything?" Carnarvon whispers. Carter's famous response echoes through history. "Yes, wonderful things." What they found that day would change everything we know about ancient Egypt. But it would also spark one of the most famous supernatural legends of our time. If you want to uncover the truth behind history's most mysterious tales, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Howard Carter wasn't just lucky that day. He'd been digging in the Egyptian sand for over 30 years. His hands were rough from years of careful excavation. His eyes had grown tired from studying every tiny fragment of pottery, every broken piece of ancient life. But on that November morning, everything changed. The tomb they discovered belonged to Tutankhamun, a boy king who died when he was just 19 years old. The tomb was almost completely untouched by grave robbers. Room after room was packed with golden treasures, intricate jewelry, elaborate furniture. Even the king's chariot wheels, still gleaming after 3,000 years in darkness. But here's where things get strange. Just months after they opened the tomb, Lord Carnarvon started feeling sick. He'd been healthy and excited about the discovery. Then one morning in March 1923, he cut himself shaving. The cut went right through a mosquito bite on his cheek. What should have been a tiny wound became infected. In those days, before antibiotics, a simple infection could kill you. And that's exactly what happened. On 19th of March, 1923, Carnarvon suffered a severe mosquito bite, which became infected after a razor cut. On the 5th of April, he died in the Continental Savoy Hotel in Cairo from, according to contemporary reports, blood poisoning progressing to pneumonia. The newspapers went crazy. Here was a story they could sink their teeth into. The man who financed the tomb's discovery was dead just months after disturbing an ancient pharaoh's rest. They called it the Curse of Tutankhamun. But wait, it gets weirder. Arthur Conan Doyle, the man who created Sherlock Holmes, believed the curse was real. He thought spirits were protecting the tomb. Other deaths started piling up, or so the newspapers claimed. They said Carnarvon's half-brother died mysteriously. A radiologist who x-rayed the mummy supposedly died. Carter's assistant allegedly died of arsenic poisoning. Every death, every accident, every stroke of bad luck got blamed on the angry spirit of the boy king. The media painted a picture of ancient magic, striking down modern men who dared to disturb the dead. They wrote about inscriptions warning that death would come on swift wings to those who entered the tomb. The story spread around the world like wildfire. But here's what they didn't tell you. No written curse has ever been documented in Tutankhamun's tomb. And although some Egyptian tombs did contain such curses, most are from non-royal tombs that predate Tutankhamun by centuries. The famous curse inscription that newspapers loved to quote. It never existed. Let me paint you the real picture of what happened in that tomb. Carter and his team worked for 10 years cataloging every single item. They photographed everything. They carefully removed thousands of artifacts. They treated each piece like it was made of glass. The work was slow, careful, and exhausting. And you know what? Most of the people who worked in that tomb lived long, healthy lives. Carter himself lived for 17 more years after the discovery. He died in 1939 of natural causes, not from any curse. His team members grew old and died in their beds, not from mysterious ancient magic. So why did people believe in the curse so strongly? Think about the time period. This was 1922. World War I had just ended. Millions of people had died in the most brutal war humanity had ever seen. People were looking for meaning, for mystery, for something beyond the horror they'd just lived through. Ancient Egypt has always fascinated us. The pyramids, the mummies, the gold masks, and elaborate burial ceremonies. There's something about a civilization that puts so much effort into preparing for death that captures our imagination. The media knew this. They knew that a story about careful archaeological work wouldn't sell newspapers. But a story about an ancient curse killing modern explorers. That would fly off the stands. They took Lord Carnarvon's unfortunate death and turned it into the foundation of a legend. Here's the truth about Lord Carnarvon's death. He wasn't a healthy man to begin with. He'd been in a serious car accident years before the tomb discovery. His health was already fragile. When he got that infected mosquito bite, his weakened immune system couldn't fight off the infection. In 1923, that was a death sentence. The other deaths that got blamed on the curse, most of them happened years later. Some weren't even connected to the tomb excavation. But every time someone who had any connection to the discovery died, the newspapers brought up the curse again. Let me tell you about the power of suggestion. When people believe something bad will happen to them, they start seeing signs everywhere. Every headache becomes a symptom of the curse. Every accident becomes proof of ancient magic. The human brain loves to find patterns, even when those patterns don't really exist. But there's something else at play here. The curse story gave the tomb discovery a sense of danger and mystery that made it even more fascinating. People weren't just interested in ancient history anymore. They were following a supernatural thriller that was supposedly happening in real life. The Curse of Tutankhamun became one of the most successful marketing campaigns in archaeological history, even though nobody planned it that way. Museums around the world started displaying Egyptian artifacts and advertising them as cursed objects. People lined up to see the treasures that had supposedly killed their discoverers. Even today, almost 100 years later, people still ask about the curse when they visit Egyptian museums. The story has become bigger than the actual history. Movies have been made about it. Books have been written. The curse has taken on a life of its own. But here's what's really amazing about Tutankhamun's tomb. The real discovery is so much more incredible than any curse could ever be. This tomb gave us a perfect window into ancient Egyptian burial practices. We learned how they mummified bodies. We saw the incredible craftsmanship of their jewelry and furniture. We discovered religious texts that helped us understand their beliefs about the afterlife. The tomb taught us that Tutankhamun probably died from malaria, not from any dramatic assassination or battle wound. It showed us that even minor pharaohs were buried with unimaginable wealth. It proved that ancient Egyptian art and engineering were far more sophisticated than we'd ever realized. So was the curse of Tutankhamun real? The evidence says no. Despite popular misconceptions, no curse was found inscribed in the pharaoh's tomb. The evidence for curses relating to Tutankhamun is considered to be so meager that Donald B. Redford called it unadulterated claptrap. What we had instead was a perfect storm of circumstances. A fragile man's unfortunate death. Sensational journalism looking for dramatic stories. A public hungry for mystery and magic in the aftermath of a devastating war. And the timeless human fascination with ancient Egypt and its secrets. The curse of Tutankhamun tells us more about ourselves than it does about ancient magic. It shows us how desperately we want to believe in something beyond the ordinary world. It demonstrates the power of storytelling and how legends can become more influential than facts. The boy King Tutankhamun never needed a curse to protect his legacy. His tomb and its treasures spoke for themselves. They revealed a civilization of incredible sophistication and beauty. They connected us to people who lived 3,000 years ago, but who shared our same hopes, fears, and dreams of immortality. The next time you hear about an ancient curse or supernatural mystery, remember Tutankhamun's tomb. Sometimes the most extraordinary stories are the ones that happen to be true. And the most powerful magic is the human ability to create meaning from coincidence. The curse was never real, but the wonder of discovery, the thrill of uncovering ancient secrets, and the power of human curiosity to drive us into dark places looking for treasure. That magic is absolutely real. Hit subscribe if you want more stories about the mysteries hiding behind history's most famous legends.